Welcome back, Disruptors, to the Point of Impact podcast, the show where my guests and I dive deep into all areas of life, from family, friends, and building deeper relationships to faith and mindset, fitness, daily routines and diet, to finances, investing and entrepreneurship, and just plain fun. All so you can have actionable techniques and skills that you can bring into your life. All so you can live the best life you possibly can and leave the kind of mark you want to on this world. Today, I want to tell you a little bit about the fun twist of fate that started a year ago. An opportunity to go back to my hometown and leave an impact on on a new generation, and dive a little deeper into a question that I got asked on this trip, and I've been asked quite a few times in the past few years. Before we get started, though, I'd like to ask you if you do me a quick favor and leave this show a 5-star rating, make a review, and please subscribe and share with others so the algorithms will know this is a show of value, and hopefully boost it up in the ratings and share with others so that they can also learn, gain some value, and help them make an impact they want to live. So, like I said, a year ago, I want to start this off by telling you about my wife and another trip we made back home to my hometown of Bath, Ohio. It's a suburb outside of Akron. We've got a few rental properties there. My family, mother and brother still live there. It's where I went to high school, grew up, and played football and lacrosse. I have quite a few friends still in the area, all living their own lives and raising families of their own. A year ago, while we were visiting, my wife had discovered in my mom's attic my Letterman jacket that had been all but forgotten about for nearly 3 decades. So, unbeknownst to me, she brought it back with us, had it cleaned off and dry cleaned the years of neglect off of it, then presented it to me as a gift, which was very thoughtful and I really appreciated. But one of the thoughts that passed my mind was, there's absolutely no scenario in which I can think of for an opportunity to wear it ever again. Forgive me, but it is Florida where we live now. It's hot most of the year, and I don't want to leave the kind of impression of people that I'm the guy that lives in the glory days. But that aside, it is a symbol of one of the best times of my life, where I thoroughly enjoyed all the years of high school, growing up in Bath, and what leads me up to this past week, where I had the distinct honor of being inducted into my high school's Hall of Fame. Despite all my protests to help find someone of better standing to or of more greater caliber to be an inductee, nonetheless, they invited me, and I proudly and gratefully accepted. So this past week, I went back home, and I had an opportunity that I'd not, in my wildest imagination, had foreseen the opportunity to wear my Leatherman jacket. So I wore it back to my high school and stood before the entire student body and faculty of my former high school. And while I was there, I got to have a few words with the students. This was in the new gymnasium that they had recently built in the last year or so. Then we all adjourned to the auditorium where up on the stage we had a TED Talk like question and answer session where one of my friends, who is now the high school foundations director, he would ask me insightful questions that I would answer in front of the student body. It was an incredible opportunity to make a mark on a whole other generation. So it was not something that I took lightly. One of the questions I was asked on this this trip, and a question that I get asked fairly frequently, it's one that I don't like to dwell on very often, is what are some of the things you miss the most after losing your eyesight? And the reason I don't like to think about this is, of course, it's very sad to think about the things that you can no longer see or do. And I don't like to dwell on the negative. I don't like to worry about the things I can't do or lost to me. Instead, I like to look to all the opportunities. I like to look for solutions and look for the positive and the silver lining in everything. However, I believe also that it shouldn't ignore these things. It shouldn't ignore the negative side. And in fact, there are lessons to be learned. There are positives to be gained. It's the sweet with the bitter, the pepper and the salt. It's the yin and the yang of life. And it's not bad to reflect. It's also important to remember that once you make a list or you think about the things such as this, some of the things that you've lost, it makes you so much grateful for what you do have. Or, the memories that you were able to gain before the loss. So, with that, I would like to give you the top 10 list of things that I've missed since losing my eyesight. 1, sleep. What people don't realize is that with 100% eyesight loss, there's also a sleep disorder that comes with the package. Say, we have this internal clock we call our circadian rhythm, and there's actually a gland in our heads and our brains that's connected to our optic nerves, connected to our eyesight, and it's essentially a clock that gets reset or rewound every single day with the sight of sunlight. Now, you could be virtually blind with just a little bit of light and shadow sensory, so long as you're not 100% blind, like I am, and that circadian rhythm can be reset each day. However, without that, your circadian rhythm is off. It's like having a 26-hour clock running, and you're never quite right on time. So what happens is, and we call this non-24 sleep-wake cycle disorder, or just non-24. Basically, what happens is every once in a while I just get set out of whack, and I end up lying awake, wide awake and ready to go for the day in the middle of the night. And then during the middle of the day, I'm a zombie. I'm completely exhausted. In fact, it's almost impossible for me to stay awake. There are a lot of things you can do to help mitigate this. I try to maintain a regular routine all day long, and I try not to deviate from it even on the weekends. And it includes, healthy eating, a lot of physical exercise, so that by the end of the day I'm very fatigued, and a healthy diet. So that's number one. Number two is my former job, explosive ordnance disposal, EOD. Besides being a father and just the general fulfillment of being in the service, there's nothing that's given me more pleasure in this world than being a first responder on the battlefield. The chance to save lives for the lives of others that are in service to our country is one of the greatest honors I've ever been at. Had the pleasure of doing. I miss the job, and I enjoyed the caliber of people that I got to work with and among. Heroes, all of them. I miss the technical aspect of the job and the difficulty level. And it's just, there's no facet of that job that I didn't absolutely love. I woke up each day ready and excited to to perform my duties, to go work on these dangerous implements of war, save lives, and serve my country in the best way I possibly could. And it's still a tight family I belong to this day. Once you're in the family, they don't let you out, and I love them for it. Number three is body language. This is a mixed bag because this can go two ways, both ways. This could probably be on the opposite list of things I don't miss. But definitely miss body language. Think about how much we express ourselves through our gestures, especially in our faces, which is completely lost to me now. And people imagine all of the physical signs, and people, the language that people describe just through their body positions and their facial gestures. There's been countless books written on the science of body language, and it's completely foreign to me anymore. It's gone, and I really do miss that because quite a bit is lost when you don't have that body language to rely on. So I need instead for people that are speaking to me to be often quite literal or more descriptive than they might otherwise be. This could be difficult for some. It's certainly a challenge for me from time to time to pick up subtleness, especially given that my hearing is also limited. There's such things as sarcasm or cynicism. I can often pick that up, but there's quite a bit of flair added to language and quite a bit more depth when you add body language to it. So I definitely miss that. Especially since people tell me I'm quite expressive with my own face. Number 4, driving. Oh my gosh. I used to love driving. There is something, maybe it's visceral, about being behind the wheel, and especially, and maybe it's just me, especially driving, a standard shift, stick shift. I don't know what that is, but it feels like I have quite a bit more control when I was I was driving standard transmission. Everything and anything, from a tractor to sports cars to, but I once had a big knobby tire lifted Jeep. It was a piece of junk, but I love that thing and I love driving off road with it. So whether, they said, whether you're getting that adrenaline rush at 90 miles an hour or 2 miles an hour, I loved driving. There's also the fact that everything now takes a little bit more planning. Since I don't drive, I often have to ask for others' assistance in getting from point A to point B. Number 5, reading. There is, and I remember this was something that really got locked in my memory. It was the movie Finding Forrester, where Sean Connery played the character of Forrester, an author who was also a recluse, kind of modeled after J.D. Salinger, and he'd written one of the all-American classics. But I remember in the movie the sheer respect that he gave the book itself and the author who had written it, where it was sacrilege to even dog-ear the pages. I remember what it was almost it was both a privilege to crack the binding for the first time on a brand new book, but it was also almost you feel the pain of putting the first piece of wear on a book, and then in the same vein, pulling an old tome off of a library that had been sitting there for who knows how long, just waiting for somebody to come by and give it attention again. I have the same respect for books, reading, and while the technology is there that I can scan pages and have my computer in its almost human-like robot voice read it to me, and of course there's there's also audiobooks. It's not quite the same as reading the pages, reading the words on a page, letting your mind speak the voices and picture the environment in which the author paints a picture with the words. So I really do miss being able to just flip a page and read versus listening to somebody else read to me or something else read to me. 6, intuition. You might have read the book Blank by Malcolm Gladwell, and it's all about intuition. How we can take in the scene, our brain can calculate 10,000 different features of a snapshot in our mind and come to a conclusion before we've actually had enough time to think about, consciously think about what's going on. So it's almost like Spidey sense, that sense of fear, of danger, that something's not quite right before you know what it is. This comes in handy, definitely came in handy when I was a bomb tech. In the book Blank, they talk about firefighters being able to look at something, not recognize right away, but know that something's wrong so they could get out of a dangerous situation. And just imagine all those times when you had a sneaking suspicion about somebody. Maybe they're not telling you the truth. That goes back to body language, maybe something in their eyes, but something gave you the intuition. And often that comes from what we're seeing and not quite knowing just exactly what it is, but that intuition paid off. I definitely missed that. 7, spontaneity. How about the ability to make spur-of-the-moment decisions? Well, like I said, I don't really have the ability to jump up, grab the keys, and head out the door. I also have been told it's quite dangerous to just lace up and go for a run by myself. In any case, everything takes a little bit more planning. And spontaneity is one of the spices of life. Being able to just make a split decision. And it gives life a little more dynamic, a little more dimension. I don't even have the benefit of window shopping or impulse buying at the store because, even I know those candy bar racks are there, but I'm immune to impulse buying. That's good and bad. Because sometimes I completely forget they're there, and it wouldn't be bad to have a Snickers bar from time to time, but I don't even remember. But I certainly do miss spontaneity. 8, the ability to see and recognize beauty. In a former life, I was a cook, chef. I was personal cook to 3-star Admiral in Italy. I love food, and one of the tenets of culinary art is that we do eat with our eyes. Think about all those times when something looks so tantalizing, and it's not just food. Looking at somebody's masterwork up on a wall, or sculpture, or all sorts of fabric design, creativity with colors and dimension and texture. Somebody can describe it to me. And I remember going on my honeymoon with my wife to Florence, and they did a great job of actually making 3D models of classic artworks that were up on a wall right in front of me. I was able to touch a 3D representation of the artwork, which was absolutely incredible. They even had, in the middle of Florence, a 3-dimensional map of the city, of the ancient city. But, of course, that's nothing compared to the inspiration, the awe you get when looking at the ancient architecture or grandeur. There's so much to be appreciated, so much beauty in this world to be appreciated, to be grateful for. I certainly miss that quite a bit. 9, the faces of my family and friends. I miss this quite a bit. I miss seeing the look of pride on my parents' face. Miss seeing the smile on a friend's face. These are the people that shaped my life, and to be able to look in their eyes one more time. Or to be able to see my children's faces. Enough said there. 10. Hand-eye coordination. Now, of course, there is no coordination because there are no eyes. So things can get a bit awkward from time to time. I'm not half bad with with chopsticks, but I try to avoid cutting, fork and knife cutting foods that have bones in them because of the intricacy in that. It could just be practice, but that's kind of a pain in the butt. There are other things, such as speaking again of this trip I just took and coming back home. The interesting events and odd stories that I've collected over the years of just traveling could fill a book or at least a stand-up set. But I was getting into an Uber, it was a minivan, when we were just loading up our bags, and then the driver, who was a very friendly gentleman, wanted to help me get into the vehicle, and it started by grabbing my arm. Now, of course, he wants to be helpful and doesn't know quite how to do it. I want to show people that I'm independent, and I do have a fierce independent streak, even though I know from time to time I need to accept help. And here's where the clash of the two happened. I told the man, I know what I'm doing. I've gotten into vehicles in the past. I know how to do this. And I started climbing into this minivan. And he kept saying, kind of stuttering, no, and grabbing my arm, while at the same time I'm saying, I'm okay here, I know what I'm doing. The only problem is, I was trying to climb into the back hatch of the minivan. Once I figured out that there weren't any seats back there, and I was trying to climb over our luggage, I might have been a little embarrassed. And that comes with this spatial orientation, which is the same, so to speak, as hand-eye coordination. As I tell people, I do a lot of learning with my face and my shins. So it does get awkward from time to time, and even as frequently, it gets pretty painful. On this occasion, thankfully I didn't hurt myself, but I have definitely smacked my head on a few door frames trying to get in and out of vehicles. And so something that would definitely, where eyes would definitely be helpful in case you need any other examples. It would be nice to be able to see you hit that 5-star rating and leave a review, and maybe share this with a friend you think might get a little value from this show. Yes, I know. Even if I had eyes, I wouldn't be able to see you do this in actuality, because this is a podcast and I'm recording right now. I just thought it'd fit. Never mind. All in all, I would appreciate it if you could do just that. Leave me a review. Give the show a 5-star rating. And if you find any value in this show and think others might as well, please share it with somebody that you care for, so that they too will learn a little bit more about developing their lives and living, the best life they can and leaving an impact on their world. With that, I'll just wrap it up by saying, yes, these are some things that I do miss, and yes, it is sad to think of the stuff, the things that I'm missing because I don't have my eyesight. But I am so grateful for the life I do have and the chance I get every single day to make the best out of my world and give back to this incredible family, this incredible life that I have. And if you hadn't noticed that every one of these things that I miss was about me. I do believe that the more I think about myself, the more sad or unhappy that I will become. And the more I think about others and adding value and giving what I have to others fulfills my own life. The more I pour into others' cups, the more mine just overflows. So, with that being said, I am so grateful to for what I have, and these examples only go to add the perfect contrast to all the things in this world that fill my life up and to make this world worth being a part of, and my life as special as it can be. And it gives me every reason to be grateful for what I do have. And I only ask that you use these examples to be grateful for what you have. Look at the bright side of every situation. Look for the silver lining, the opportunity to give and love and to show your gratitude for what you've got. Gratitude is a practice. It's a skill that you have to develop over time. Remember when your mom said you should be grateful for the food I've cooked for you, because there are starving children in third world countries around the world. It probably didn't have the same impact that she wanted it to have on you, but that would change when you actually saw those children with bare feet and distended bellies with flies buzzing around their eyes. And you really do appreciate what you have, and you're grateful for the care your mother put into that dinner. I hope these examples serve as a little bit of that same kind of reminder and a little bit of a gratitude aid, if you will. I'm grateful for having been able to see my family and look into their eyes, to see the faces of my parents, my brothers and sisters, my friends, all those wonderful people I got to go back and visit with last week. I'm grateful that I have my health, a strong mind, both pairs of legs, and I can talk to you, I can share my thoughts, I could lace up and go for a run or a hike with some friends. I'm grateful for all these things because I had first-hand experience and have first-hand experience of the alternatives. So let this be a little bit of a reminder, a little bit of a gratitude aid. Each day I try to journal. I'm not always successful, but when I do journal, I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for that day. It does take a little bit of practice, a little bit of thought to be original, to come up with things, and to really give a strong consideration for why I'm grateful. And I believe that's the real message here. I'm also grateful that I look the same as I did the last time I looked in the mirror. And I'm grateful that you tuned in. Thank you very much. Now, go disrupt your world.